Guys, excited to be here. Equally excited for you guys to truly take in how physically imposing I am. So, whenever you guys are ready to start, let's do it. Yes, another word.
How do you determine what a good practice is for you?
A good practice is one that an entire offense, you feel like at every position, they have improved on things from the day before. There's never a practice that's perfect, so you're always understanding that. But at the same time, every time you make a mistake as a player or as a position group, you're always looking for people to respond in a manner that after the fact, on the next play, like in a game, because there's going to be bad plays, and you want to turn those into momentum swings and good plays.
Without watching the film, do you have a sense of where you are day 2 compared to day 1?
Yeah, it was a good practice in that regard. We had some issues with cadence yesterday that I think that Kyle alluded to. That was corrected. Then more things came up today. We had some ball handling issues because of extra sweaters and center quarterback exchange. So that will be the next thing that we'll have to do tomorrow. So you check one thing off the box and move to the next.
You guys left OTAs, I think, eager to see what Trent Williams would do, how he'd use that time, those 40 days. What's the verdict on that? Can you tell that this guy put in a lot of work in that interim?
Definitely. Very pleased. There's a lot of things that there's only so much time in the day, and there's a lot of things we're going over. You're trying to talk footwork, fundamentals, but then you're trying to talk scheme. And 40 days away, you're by yourself, so there's a lot of technique stuff that you can improve on. And he's come back in a manner that we're happy with, and I think his teammates can feel that he's put in work too.
Brandon Aiyuk was someone who seemed to be kind of ahead of the game last year, even without rookie camp and OTAs. What does his progress look like this year?
Brandon's a young player that I don't think people really realize how much a true offseason, what it does for a player in terms of trying to play in the National Football League and coming from the college game. So this offseason has been tremendous for him in terms of being able to develop his game, just not trying to stay afloat. But there's a lot in front of him. He has high expectations for himself. We have very high expectations for ourselves. So it'll be a while before we're completely pleased with any player, because that's our job, is develop them. And so that's what we're doing with Brandon.
When it comes to Debo, and he has all this competitive drive that you like to see, and it's been shown 2 practices in, do you worry that it gets a little too much early in camp, or do you just, that's how Debo is, and you just hope he doesn't go too far?
Well, Coach Shanahan does a great job in his team meetings of articulating through all of that to understand that it's important to have juice and bring juice to practice and raise the level of your teammates' performance, but there's a fine line because we're all in this together. So with Debo, we don't worry about that. His intensity is infectious, and so we rely on that as a team, and he's come back in great shape and excited that he's healthy.
You mentioned in the spring that Sanu looked like he was back to maybe where he was previously. How much further along have you, even just from then to now, do you see him, and what kind of role do you envision for him?
Then 2016?
Even in the spring, just to now.
Well, it's ownership of our terminology. It always changes. Every time you go to a new team, it evolves a little bit. So last year when he came here for a week and a half, he had to absorb all that. In OTAs, he was working on it, and he's come back with a little more ownership. As far as the player, it's been very impressive. I think it's important that to the team for his play, how he's performed, but as well as just how he carries himself as an example for the other for his teammates, the younger guys. That's something that we were relying upon him, and he's come through as it is day 2 in training camp.
Coaches don't necessarily love to compare or think about things in the past, but just given you have a very highly drafted quarterback and a quarterback who had also played in a Super Bowl pretty recently, is this a unique situation for you, just in terms of like a depth chart and seeing 2 guys up there that are pretty high level just in your career that you've worked with?
Yeah, I think it's a new, unique situation for me, for the whole room. Like, been very impressed. This quarterback room we have has depth, and it's very competitive in terms of guys wanting to be their best selves. So that's unique, and we all know our history with injuries and whatnot. So it's relieving to some degree from our standpoint. But it's been fun, and it's been really fun to watch. Much like the rest of our positions, the quarterback position, it's competitive, but it's like constructive competitiveness, where guys they're trying to help each other, but they're demanding and being accountable to themselves to try to, organically raise their game. So everyone's helping each other. It's a cool culture, really fun to be a part of.
Go ahead, Chris.
Kyle has made it clear it's not a competition right now, but in your mind, how do you define that threshold for Trey where, okay, he's at this point, now it is a competition?
You just try not to get ahead of yourself and do right by the players, okay? You have to earn stuff in this league, and that's one thing that, in the 49ers organization, from the ownership to the head coach to the GM, the synergy, there's no agendas. So everyone is working towards the same goal, and in that, the players trust that, okay, everything's earned. You can feel that. They respect it. That's one of the reasons they all buy in so hard. And so it doesn't really come across your mind in that regard. You're saying, hey, Jimmy's playing awesome. That's awesome. We want to our job is to get every player better. So we try to get them better. And when they are better, that's when we cross that bridge.
How important is it to get Trey Lance reps throwing to George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Aiyuk? It's important, but everything's important. I would say that it's not at the top of the scale of importance, because more than anything, you have to get down the timing of everything. You have to get your footwork. You have to know where everyone is. You have to know your responsibilities. And once you have completely mastered that, then, it's a game of inches. So it is important, but it's kind of down the list in terms of priority.
Mike, Kyle was saying that you were working on some of the little technical stuff, just tightening some stuff up with Trey and OTAs, and that, now that he's back, he can focus a little bit more on the playbook and just sort of playing. Do you sense he's a little bit more at ease and, not thinking about that stuff as
Definitely
much?
A little more at ease. I will say that if the technique was that easy, everyone would be doing it. So you can't really say that, oh, yeah, we're totally satisfied with anything, because then our expectations and our goals wouldn't be that high. But you can tell that he's able to focus on more of the nuts and bolts of the position, because he's getting familiar with this new foreign language that was just introduced to him a couple months ago.
When you say you can feel his teammates sense that he's put the work in, I don't know, is that just the way guys are talking, the way guys look at each other?
It's not explicit. It's a vibe. Yeah. You can tell. You can tell by the cadence with which people positively reinforce a play. Someone, how fast people tell a guy a good throw. Just their energy. It's not really explicit. It's more something you kind of get a feel for and a vibe for.
A couple more.
Trent Williams was saying the other day that this year's different for him just because he's not coming off the hiatus, and he doesn't have some of the nerves that he had coming in last year. Is there another level that he can get to in his game, and what are your expectations?
You're careful to build, especially established veterans, up too much, but he proved it to us last year. That was the best version of Trent Williams that we had ever seen, and it's not like we were going into it expecting that. You don't know what you're going to get. He's a really good player, and he still looks great on tape, but so
we've kind of learned the opposite with Trent. You don't put a ceiling on Trent. His game can always improve, and I think he would agree with that as well.
I know he's being eased back in, but what have you seen from Jalen Hurts so far? It seems like he's moving pretty well for a guy who's missed a couple of seasons now.
Yeah, we've seen no setbacks. We've never had. Every time he's been on the field, we've been very pumped about that player as at the wide receiver position. Really, it's been him needing to be available, and so far, so good.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
All right. Thank you, guys.